Hey guys, this is the final D3D stage, which is D3D stage 7. I will probably do a few different runs on this stage because I've actually got quite a lot of other characters that I could still use. Actually made this far and I completed this stage and I realized I still have characters such as Ruby Kante and Quina and Noctis and Core all still unused. So there's a lot of potential for other team comps here. Anyway, I wanted to do this run first because this is sort of like a special request from someone in my Telegram group. First off, regarding the starting turn order, you want Seed Rains to start first, and the other two doesn't really matter, although it helps a lot if they act before the boss. And there is a fair bit of RNG here, but only at the very start. What you want to do at the start is to reset until only Terra is petrified. At the start of the fight, each boss will petrify a random target, and ideally this should be Terra. If you give Reigns and Sherlotta the Ramo evasion passive, they also do have a 10% chance to evade the petrify at the start, but otherwise it's a matter of resetting until you get a starting turn order where Reigns is first and Terra gets petrified. Sounds pretty difficult, but I've actually done this a few times. Doesn't take too many resets, maybe a couple of minutes. Next up, this run will feature Seed Rains as the defense ignore unit because you do need a way to attack the enemies while ignoring their defense to lower the colored aura at the end of the fight. In addition to this, and I cannot stress this strongly enough, to kill the bosses, you must have 3 weapon type Imperil debuffs up on the bosses, which is Melee Imperil, Range Imperil, and Magic Imperil. If you do not have all 3 on the bosses, it is impossible to kill them. The game literally requires you to have all 3 debuffs up in order to kill the bosses. So to get all 3, in this fight I have Terra because Terra's Force Echoes lands a Magic Imperil on all targets, so that's 1 Imperil down. For the other 2, I simply use the Fran Call and the Auron Call. If you don't have Fran Call, you can also use the Irvine Call, but that's the only alternative. The last call slot, you have to use the Rydia LD Call because once Blink buff is up on your entire party, you can then evade the other petrify attacks later on this stage. So coming up to setup at the start, you really just want Reigns to set up the Rydia LD call and go straight into his BT+. Coming to Sherlotta's turn, you just want to charge the force gauge all the way to 100% and then end her turn with BT+. Terra will then get petrified, the boss will hit 100% force gauge, which then brings you back to Seed Rain's turn, allowing you to enter into his force time. Seed Rain's force attack also hits force weakness because the launch portion of the attack ignores defense, so using Seed Rain's force attack will reset the enemy's force gauge down to 0. Here I think the play is a little bit suboptimal. Unfortunately, because of the turn order, Terra can only lead to 1 launch on her turns, which means that she's only increasing the force bonus by 40+% instead of the potential 60% plus if you get 2 follow-ups on launch. It is possible to make a little bit of adjustment at the start so that you will have full launches on Terra, but in any case you don't really need too much for the first force time, because this fight is really going to rely on 2 force times in total to give you a comfortable finish. Now during this force time, one important thing for you to take note is the so-called HP gates on this stage, which is the boss's HP cannot drop below 89, 69, 49 and 19%. For example, if the boss is at 90% and you do a huge attack, say 30 million in HP damage, the boss's HP will only drop from 90 to 89%, and the boss will do the 89% HP trigger ability before removing the HP gates. So in order to optimize damage, you need to keep a close eye on the boss health. Try to damage both bosses a little bit unevenly, sort of like maybe 4 or 5% HP damage apart. And when one boss is very near one of the HP gates, again those gates are at 89, 69, 49 and 19%. But when the bosses are near those HP gates, you want to switch to the other target and let splash damage bring the boss to the HP gate. This way you sort of maximize your damage potential. Finally, as I'm coming near to the end of the first force time, the summon of choice here is Bahamut summon, and not only for the damage that it does when you pop it, but in this stage in particular, you are going to make use of the Mega Flare buff that the summon provides, namely to allow Sherlotta to have free EX users to help you charge the second force gauge. Now, one quick note about Terra's BT Plus here. It may be possible to do this without the BT Plus. The BT Plus here actually has two functions. One is, of course, it provides BT Aura to the entire party, which helps a little bit. But the other important function for Terra's BT Plus is the Brave Refund ability it gives. Terra's BT Plus gives you a Brave Refund after every HP dump, which allows your entire party to end their turn with Brave in reserve. And this helps to cushion and protect you from the second enemy's force attack later on in the fight. Here I'm sort of going all out by pushing damage and using all the echoes. You really only need to save, of course, one force ability on range so that you can enter force time a second time. But here you really want to use all your echoes, because the ideal scenario is that you enter force time with both bosses at or close to 19% health, so that you have one entire BT phase with Seed Rains to whittle down the color aura at the end of the fight. But I'll cover more into that when we come to that portion of the fight. Pop summon mode at the final turn of force time. In case you're wondering why I popped Seed Rains' BT Plus right at the start of the fight, and sort of waste a few turns with him before he can enter BT mode, there's really two reasons. One is so that you get to do a full Seraphic charge near the end of the first force time, and it does very nice damage. But the second more important reason why you want Rains' BT Aura up is because his BT Aura gives you a massive plus 50% HP damage cap up on launch attacks. This allows Terra to output very nice damage in the first force time, despite her kit being slightly outdated at this point. Once you are back on Sherlotta's turn and you are out of force time, you want to immediately start charging the force gauge again. So just spam EX with her until she can't do EX anymore. The one mistake that I did on this particular run is that she only has 2 more users of her S1. If you try to save 3 users of Sherlotta's S1, you get to have 1 more free EX at the end of the rotation. But because I did not, so I'm 1 EX short. And this meant that on Terra's turn, I had to use 1 LD to get multiple turns to help charge the force gauge to 100%. So this part here is sort of like the final stretch. You want to use LD on Terra here to help charge your force gauge to 100%. The reason why you want to do this before Sid Reigns gets his next turn is so that at least you get to save 1 or 2 Seraphic charges for Sid Reigns' PT mode. Going into one final LD here is actually also helpful because it helps you to push the last bit of few percentage hit points that the bosses have so that you can tip them over to the 19% mark when Sid Reigns starts his PT mode. I'm just shy of 2%, so I just used the Rydia base core and luckily that's enough. If you still shy a little bit, then you can use Sid Reigns' additional ability, although that would burn his PT plus aura. Anyway, with that said, the rest of the fight is pretty much over. You want to just enter into force time again, and that will cancel the enemies out of their force time. Before Sid Reigns go into BT mode, try to have Terra and Sherlotta bring the bosses to 19% health. I'm sort of super close on boss A. Unfortunately, boss A is at 20% health, but I guess that will do. Sid Reigns has 7 turns in his force time, and each time he attacks an enemy, he will be able to reduce the enemy's aura by 1 stage as such. So the aura goes from red to yellow to blue to white, and you want both enemies to be on white aura by the end of the fight. So you do need to alternate targets a little bit here, but as long as both enemies are on white aura when he does his finisher, then the fight is over. If the enemy's color aura remains at red on this stage, this means that you did not do the triple weapon Imperil, and again you must do a Melee Imperil, Range Imperil, and Magic Imperil, otherwise the aura stays locked at red and you will not be able to kill the bosses. They are literally immune to death until they hit white aura. So that's it for this stage. As always, I hope the video has been helpful, and if you enjoyed the content, do leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Shinryu fight. Bye!